folks, today's job, the old Parkside grinder is getting an upgrade because this is no longer big enough to put this chisel in it. Whoop. Not only that, I want to change this system for one that allows me to do 40/40 grinds, so we've got to completely modify it. Fantastic. Alright folks, so how, you might ask, are we going to modify this to be something that isn't totally rubbish? Okay, so this thing normally has an angle of, what would you say that is, 45 degrees maybe? So I don't want a 45-degree angle, I want it to be like that, straight down. So I need to make a block in here to support that, like that, and then we can start building out from this. Okie dokie. So I've cut this piece of wood on the bandsaw to what I think is 45 degrees. If that's a 90, that's got to be 45, right? So if that goes there, and that goes there, then looks dodgy from that angle. Let's try it over here. I think that's pretty good. Straight up and down, just there. You see that? Oh. I think that looks pretty straight to there. Let's go with that. Bit of a annoying one. There we go. Right. So that now sits at a 45-degree angle. I could do. What do we think, folks? I think that's pretty square. 90 degrees to the base plate. Okay, so I've salvaged this old bracket off the old motor for the metal lathe, and I reckon we can adapt that to be an adjustable plate for this. So let's do that. Okay, so I can hear you asking, how are you going to measure that angle, or this angle, without a protractor? Because I don't have one. So what we're going to do, we know that this angle is 90 degrees. You see? Maybe there. We know that that is 90 degrees, and we want the angle between this and this to be 40 degrees, right? (45 and 45). Okay, so that's 45 degrees. Half of that's 22 and a half. Half again is 11.25, and half of that again is 5.6. Take off the 0.6 and you get to, from here, 50 degrees. That's scientific, that is. All I've got to do now is extend that line on and join it up with this line and then cut out that triangle. So there we have our 50-degree triangle, which when you put here leaves, yes, this angle is 50, so this angle is 40 because it adds up to 90. If you go all the way round down to here, it adds up to 180. So super scientifically, if our 50-degree triangle comes in here on the flat and meets that point, which it does, then we know that this angle is 40 degrees, which is what we want. So I've cut out this piece of wood which goes here. Now obviously this is in the way, I need to bring this forwards, so I'm going to have to notch this out with the router. Alrighty, Notchy McNotch face. So now when that goes in there, that sits just a little proud of that bar. So I can now glue this onto there. So the next thing we need to do is cut a notch out of this to allow it to fit around the belt frame. So I've cut an angle in here, which means it can sit close to the belt. Closer. Like that. That looks pretty good. Alrighty. Now we should find that can sit inside it, no bracket. That can go to about. So the last thing we need to do is mount that plate. I've marked a hole here. I'm going to drill that in. And hopefully that should line up with one of the holes in our bracket. Which it probably does. Let's have the bolt coming up from there. Like that. And there's that bit. Fitting on like that. Okay, so I kind of forgot about changing belts. So what I've done is I've glued the 50-degree triangle there, so that when you want to change your belt, you whip it off, put your new one on, and then just push this back to the stop, and you know that you're at exactly 40 degrees. Not bad. Alright, that's not bad. So let's change it to a finer belt. Okay, so that was a 150 belt, and all the way from China we have 400, 800 and 1000 grit belts. So I'm going to step up through the grits. And there we go. That is ridiculously sharp. I don't think this chisel has ever been that sharp, which is good. Now let's do the big boy. So I was watching Stuart Batty, and he says the first thing you need to do for a 40-40 grind is to do the top face and rock it like that. Then grind one wing, then the other wing, and then blend the two. So let's see if I can do that. I've never done a 40-40 before, so let's have a go. So that's our top profile. Now we just blend the wings. So here's our two 90 degree angles. So 45 is going to be halfway between there and there. Something like that. And 40 degrees is going to be a little bit less. $5 mil less. So we can draw that in. Forty. Alright, let's try this sucker. So that's the wings. Now we do the front bevel. Okay, I'm going to switch to the 400 and blend them in with a 400 grit. It seems to look like a 40-40 grind to me, but then I don't know what I'm looking at. It's ridiculously sharp. And I'm going to call that good. There's a bit of a flat spot there. But it's not on the edge, so yeah, probably be fine.
Okay folks, so welcome to narration mode. I couldn't just do the chisels and then call it done, so I decided to put a bit of walnut on the lathe. It was by no means round. I could have turned it round on the bandsaw, but I thought I'm going to use the chisels and just see what kind of difference it's made. And the difference is quite astonishing, really. Having a properly ground chisel for the first time in probably 12 months. So I thought I'd start off with the old chisel, and that was loads better, really nice cuts. And then I've moved on to the big chisel, and it is aggressive. It can take huge, well, huge for me, cuts anyway. Sort of 10mm thickness cuts coming off there. So we're less than 5 minutes in and I've already got it turned to round. I'm just getting rid of the final flat spots. One thing I have noticed with this grind, the pull cuts are fantastic. Much more controllable. And you might notice I've settled on the middle position on the handle when I'm holding that big gouge. I think the furthest away position will be for when I'm doing big stuff around the back end of the lathe. So we're probably 8 minutes into cutting at this point. Just put my mortise in the back. Time for sanding. It actually took longer to sand than it did to cut. Just working my way up through the grits to 600. A bit of Hampshire sheen paste, some sanding paste, and some shine juice. So put a quick edge on the old bowl gouge. Refining my top edge. And we're on to the big gouge. It's going to take me a little while to get used to the 40-40 grind. And I was just playing here, really, just seeing how much I could get done in a short amount of time. And this wood was quite knotty and quite tough in places, but the gouge didn't notice. Cut through it with no problems at all. I'm obviously going to have to practice putting the 40-40 grind on, as it's something I've never done before. I'm sure it's like anything else, the more you do it, the better you get. So we're probably 15, 18 minutes in at this point. So I've swapped back to the old bowl gouge, just for the fine stuff, thinning down the wall and across the bottom of the bowl. I can get some better angles with this one. It's not quite so humunculously big. And that's that. On to a quick bit of sanding. And I hope you've enjoyed watching how to make your own Pro Edge, in inverted commas, Pro Edge. Just to show it can be done. I don't know why I haven't done it sooner, really, but I'm glad I've done it. And if you've got one of those old Parkside grinders or something similar, you may as well convert it. It took me, what did it take? A couple of hours work to convert it into semi-pro edge, let's call it. And there we go. 25 minutes total, and we've got a nice walnut bowl. So I will leave you as ever with a few glamour shots, and I do hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, then consider subscribing and hit the like button and all them good things, and I'll see you on tomorrow's video. Cheers, folks.